What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Almost Functional 40K. Here today to talk about how my list and I did this weekend and thoughts and stuff on that after the tournament. So the event I went to was called Rubicon Februaris, basically for February. As you can see, it was a large event, 3 rounds. We ended up with 5 undefeateds. We had a bunch of Art of War guys show up. So this was a really, really stacked tournament. We ended up with 38 players. So really, really good level of competition here. But first, we'll go ahead and run through the list. This is the list I believe I talked about it on the channel last week. So at Herald, a Lieutenant in Phobos armor, Lieutenant with combi weapon, who's the little lone op guy, Logan on Storm Rider, Ragnar, Yulrik, Battle Leader on Thunderwolf with Black Death, Impulsor, Rhino, 6 Blade Guard. They were in the Impulsor with Ragnar, 5 Fenrisian Wolves, Infiltrator Squad for holding my backfield, 5 Reavers, which ran with the Phobos Lieutenant, Scout Squad, 2 Thunderwolf Cavalry Squads, both with Battle Leader, one with Logan, one with Herald, then 10 Wolf Guard that rode in the Rhino with Yorick. So I have 4 really, really, really big combat bricks, or not really big, but this is a decent-sized brick. The 2 Thunderwolves are big, and then Ragnar 6 guys is average-sized brick, I would guess. But they all hit pretty hard with the transports, and then the speed of the Thunderwolves. It all can get there really quickly. Scouts are for early screening and objective play. The Reavers with the Lieutenant were for dropping in and attempting to steal people's backfields and possibly trigger Saga of Majesty. Infiltrators, which if you've ever watched my list, I always take 1 squad. They just basically stay in my backfield and deny my opponent's secondaries. The Fenrisian Wolves I don't normally take, but I had 30 points, so I tried them out. Just also good for screening out. Unless you trigger Saga Majesty, they really don't do much scoring. Blade Guard with Ragnar, I love. Rhino and Impulsor, once they're empty, are good for mission play, screening, holding objectives, all that kind of stuff. But the first round, I ended up playing into Star Shatter Necrons. So they had the Nightbringer, 2 Technomancers, both with different enhancements, the Silent King, 1 Spider, 2 squads of Wraiths, which the, what were they called? Technomancers ran with, 5 Death Marks, 2 Doomsday Arcs, and 2 Locust Heavy Destroyers. The mission was supply drop, the one where the objectives slowly disappear and the ones that are left get worth more, and at the end you end up with 1 objective worth 15. I ended up going second in this mission. He ended up going second. I went first, so I knew I really, really had to try hard to either make sure I scored the 15 or I could deny him the 15 at the end of the game. I really liked the way my list played in this. I thought I played really well for the most part. I ended up denying him the 15 at the end. I also got a 0 on that turn, though, but we both zeroed there. I actually beat him by 5 on primary, but I lost to him on secondary. I lost 56-55, and this is something I wanted to talk about. On turn 4, I forgot to draw secondary score cards, so I was actually unable to score any secondaries. At the end of the turn, when we went to score the game, or score the round, I did draw the cards because I have to draw them for the turn, but they were both, neither of them was like kill stuff, both of them were actions or B places, and I wasn't able to, it was too far, it was the end of my turn, we'd already gone past too many phases to go back in, retroactively do any of that stuff. I ended up drawing containment and something else, which I could have easily done if I'd drawn them. So that's just something about being clean in your play, remembering to do the things you're supposed to do, because we pulled the cards and mathed it out, and I probably would have won by about 10 points if I'd drawn those cards on turn 4 and drew my new cards on turn 5. But that's just a major mistake on my part. So Other than that one serious mistake, I liked the way I actually tactically played the game to deny him the secondaries and set myself up to win. But that really, really cost me. So that's just something you just have to be careful with, making sure you get your CP when you're supposed to, remembering all your rules. And that's another thing I'll talk about later in the video about bringing new units, remembering all their exact rules. So I lost this game 56-55. So I went into round 2 at 0-1. And then in this round, I ended up playing into Chaos List. We had a Chaos Lord with Prime Test Subject. It was Creations of Bile, Cypher, Fabius, Sorcerer and Terminator Armor, who he outran by himself. Three Cultist Blobs, Legionnaires, so he's got two little Legionnaire units with las cannons, and then one big unit with las cannon. The big unit had the Lord running with it. He had two Rhinos, one of which had the Lord's unit, and the other, I believe, had Chosen in it, and they were running with Fabius. And they had 3 Bricks of Possessed. So as you saw, I didn't have much shooting in my list either. This is a basically combat on combat army game. He's got a couple of las cannons for shooting, but not much. This mission was Terraform. And this mission, I ended up winning the role, or losing the role to go first, which means I got to go second, which to me is winning the role because you want to go second most of the time, especially in this matchup. But that being said, how I should have played it was knowing I had bottom turn advantage on primary, waiting for him to push a little bit, which unfortunately I didn't. I went a little too aggressive early and allowed him to counter into me, which ended up being, I believe, the reason I lost. I think this is a really, really even matchup. We both have a bunch of big combat bricks. I've got a little more mission play than him, but me pushing early allowed him to mitigate my bottom of turn advantage by killing a little more of my stuff than I wanted him to early. I tend to have that problem, being too aggressive sometimes. That is a flaw in my game that I am always consistently working on. But I probably should have waited another turn to really commit, and forced him to do it first, but I didn't. So that was really the only main takeaway from that game. Other than that, my combat bricks, his combat bricks traded back and forth fairly evenly. It's just he got to choose the first round of combats, really, because I moved out to kill his transports and stuff. So if I could go back, that's the one thing I would do different in this game. But not a lot of complaints about how the list played in this game because neither of us had shooting. So at this point, I was like, all right, the list is okay. I had 2 games that were kind of close. I could have won if I'd been more patient in the second game and actually remembered to draw secondaries in the first game. But I was 0-2, and in the last round, I played into a Kroot hunting pack, which was a really, really weird list to fight into. So we had 2 Shapers, 2 Lone Spears, 2 Trail Shapers, 1 War Shaper. He had 70 Kroot. He had 3 20-mans and 1 10-man. Pretty much all of them had characters in them. Then 2 Hammerheads, a unit of Farstalkers, 2 units of Rampagers, which I thought were really, really key in this game. A Riptide, Stealth Suits, 2 squads, and that's it. So I got first turn. He scouted 2 of the 20-man Kroot units up a little bit, and I actually sent in Ragnar's squad and Yora's squad on turn 1 and picked up 40 Kroot and one of the characters. The one squad actually had 1 character alive on, like, I think, 1 wound. So that was... So I felt good about that at first, although points-wise it is a little bit of a trade down for me. I was hoping maybe one of the squads would be able to live, but he was actually able to pick them both up. The only thing that survived was Ragnar was alive on... No, he actually ended up finishing Ragnar off with his shooting from his stuff. And so actually, they both squads fully died there. So I took 2 of his big squads. He took 2 of my squads, but I actually lost out in points on that trade. And then I found in this game the hammerheads and the riptide were the main things that really were a problem for me because I couldn't get to them through all the Kroot. Um, so the hammerhead, or not the hammer, the riptide can overcharge up to 4 damage, which is a perfect profile into Thunderwolves. And then the hammerheads, the first 3 turns, every turn he rolled a 6 for at least one of them to get the dev wounds off. And one of the first time it happened was into Logan. After the rest of his squad was dead, I had Logan alone sitting on the middle objective, and with his invul, and I was saving my CP for a reroll, and only one hammerhead could see him. I thought there was a decent chance he could survive, but he shot his railgun, rolled a 6 to hit, rolled a 6 to wound, and then rolled 6 on damage and just did 12 damage to Logan right off the bat. I had 1 CP, which I could have spent to give him a 5-up against mortals. I was saving it for a reroll on save just because the 1 in 6 chance he can actually dev me. And then even if he does, the chances of him rolling another 6 to insta kill me were slim. There's a better chance he just wounds me. And then I didn't want to roll. If I failed my 4-up, I wanted a chance to re-roll it. So that really hurt. And then after that, the same thing happened to the second squad of Thunderwolves. Just the hammerheads and Riptide just are really great profiles for picking them up. And I had already lost my other 2 squads. At that point, I couldn't kill through enough Kroot. I did end up killing all the Shaper or all the Rampagers, but he ended up with 1 20-man Kroot squad left that he outflanked behind me, and the Rampagers and stuff just held me up long enough that he could shoot me down. This game, the Reavers with the Lieutenant actually were pretty good. They came in from the back. They managed to take his home objective and get me Saga of Majesty on turn 2, which I thought was pretty awesome. And this is, I haven't run Reavers very often, so I mean, it's a stupid thing to forget. It's one of their key rules. I forgot that they had the -1 OC and making people take battle shocks. I was just concentrated on the move and shoot from the Lieutenant. So he actually ended up walking back there with 2. Oh, what just happened? 2 or 3 crisis suits and 1 of the Lone Spear guys, and ended up having 5 OC there. And after he killed a couple guys, he was managed to out OC me on it. With my -1 OC to his stuff near me and the +1 OC of Majesty, I really should have held that 2 more times, which would have denied him points and gave me points, which I think would have been a big swing there. So I think I'm going to put a little. Not going to. I have tweaked the list slightly to put some more shooting in there for matchups like this, where I have Ballistas and Lancers to possibly kill some hammerheads and stuff like that, so that I don't have to worry about trying to dig all the way through the screens to stop that kind of stuff from picking off wolves. But other than that, the main thing is just remembering all the rules for the Reavers. Would have really changed that game a lot, because he would either not been able to take that objective or had to send more back there to try to commit there, which would have brought stuff away from screening out the Thunderwolves while they were still alive. So that's the main mistake I think I made there, was the Reavers. So all 3 of my games had, I would say, gameplay mistakes for me. The list played well. I wouldn't be opposed to taking it again, but I do think I dropped 1 Wolf Squad and Ragnar's brick. I'm going to take a second squad of Reavers, and I'm going to bring 2 Ballistas, 2 Lancers, and some Outriders. See how that works. So I have a little more shooting. I have some more like Outriders and stuff are pretty good at running out and killing screens, so I can keep some of my better stuff for more counter punch. We'll see how that goes. I may have swung a little too far into shooting, which is my first thought. So probably after I play test this, I have a feeling I'll either go to 1 Ballistas, 1 Lancer, or 2 Ballistas, or just 2 Lancers, and put either the other Thunderwolf or Ragnar squad back in, so I have another third good big brick, because I think that is really benefits in Champions of Rust. But right now I'm going to try out the 4 shooting bricks, because that, I believe, allows me to play the game a little slower if I actually get around to doing it, which I tend to not do. I need to slow my playstyle down. But those are the main takeaways I had from this weekend. I need to clean up my gameplay. I need to draw my secondaries and just little stuff like that. That's can be the main differences between being a really good player and being a very average player. Is remembering everything your army does, everything you're supposed to do, and at properly assessing the tempo you need to play in each matchup. So hopefully those are some things I will be able to clean up going forward. But I really don't have much else to say on that. The list was fine. Can probably be a little better. So we'll see how the more shooting list does. But I think somewhere between the list I took this weekend and the list I'm testing will probably end up being the sweet spot for me, just with my play style. But once again, thank you guys for watching. I hope any of this information, my mistakes, can help improve your game. But please like, share, subscribe, all that cool YouTube stuff, and we'll catch you next time.